Rudolph's Matchmaking Adventure, A Christmas Tale by Reuben White. Once upon a time, in the mystical land of fairy tales, where magic flowed like rivers and wonder filled the air, there lived a humble reindeer named Rudolph. Rudolph was no ordinary reindeer. He was known far and wide for his bright, glowing red nose. But more importantly, he was known for his big heart and boundless gratitude. Rudolph's remarkable red nose had been a gift from none other than Santa Claus himself. Years ago, when Rudolph was just a young reindeer with a dull, ordinary nose, he had been struggling with self-doubt. He didn't think he was good enough to help pull Santa's sleigh on that most special night of the year, Christmas Eve. One foggy Christmas Eve, Santa noticed Rudolph's plight. He approached the young reindeer and spoke kindly to him, offering words of encouragement and support. But Santa didn't stop there. With a twinkle in his eye and a touch of Christmas magic, he transformed Rudolph's ordinary nose into a radiant, glowing red one. From that moment on, Rudolph's newfound confidence shone as brightly as his nose. He led Santa's sleigh through the fog that night, guiding it safely to every home and delivering joy to countless children around the world. Rudolph knew that he owed his newfound confidence and happiness to Santa's kindness, and he cherished the memory of that special night. Years passed, and Rudolph continued to lead Santa's sleigh on Christmas Eve. He became a beloved figure in the land of fairy tales, known not only for his luminous nose, but also for his cheerful spirit. He had many friends among the magical creatures who inhabited the land, including talking animals, fairies, and even a few legendary characters. One of Rudolph's dearest friends was Frosty the Snowman, a jolly fellow made of snow who came to life with a magic hat. Frosty and Rudolph often spent time together, sharing stories and laughter. It was during one of these snowy afternoons that Rudolph began to ponder how he could repay Santa's kindness. As they sat on a snow-covered hillside, sipping hot cocoa and watching the snowflakes fall, Rudolph turned to Frosty with a twinkle in his eye. "Frosty," he began, "I've been thinking. Santa did something extraordinary for me that changed my life. I want to do something just as special for him." Frosty nodded, his coal eyes twinkling. "That's a wonderful idea, Rudolph. But what can we do?" Rudolph leaned in closer and shared a tale he had heard in the land of fairy tales, a story about an old lady who lived in a shoe. Miss Abigail, as she was known, resided in a giant shoe-shaped house and had countless children. The story went that Miss Abigail was a kind and loving woman, but she had always longed for a husband to share her life with. "Frosty," Rudolph said with a grin, "what if we could help Miss Abigail find love? What if we could bring Santa and Miss Abigail together?" Frosty's eyes widened with delight at the thought of playing matchmaker. "Rudolph, that's a brilliant idea. Let's make it happen." And so, Rudolph and Frosty hatched a plan. They knew that Christmas Eve was the perfect time to work their magic, for the land of fairy tales was filled with enchantment on that night. The stars sparkled brighter, and the air was filled with the promise of miracles. As the weeks passed and Christmas drew nearer, Rudolph and Frosty made their preparations. They gathered gifts for Miss Abigail's children, wrapped them in colorful paper, and placed them in Santa's sleigh alongside the other presents. They also crafted a heartfelt letter from Santa, expressing his admiration for Miss Abigail's loving heart. Finally, the night of Christmas Eve arrived, and Santa's sleigh was loaded with gifts for children all around the world. Rudolph was ready to lead the way, as always, but he had other intentions in mind for this particular night. He had a special stop to make. As Santa's sleigh took off into the starry night, Rudolph's excitement grew. He knew that the first stop on their journey would be Miss Abigail's shoe-shaped house. The children would be fast asleep, and this was their chance to work their matchmaking magic. As the sleigh descended toward Miss Abigail's home, Rudolph's heart raced. He landed softly on the snowy roof, and Frosty hopped out, carrying the gifts and Santa's letter. Rudolph stayed close, eager to witness the magic unfold. Inside the shoe-shaped house, Miss Abigail was fast asleep, unaware of the visitors on her rooftop. Frosty gently slid down the chimney, gifts in hand, and tiptoed toward the children's room. He placed the presents by their beds and left Santa's letter on the windowsill. Just as Frosty was about to leave, he noticed a commotion outside. Santa had grown impatient due to the tight delivery schedule and was having a heated argument with Rudolph, who refused to leave the shoe-shaped house. Miss Abigail, awakened by the commotion, stepped out of her room to investigate. She couldn't believe her eyes. A lively debate was taking place on her rooftop, with Santa Claus himself at the center of it. "Rudolph, we can't waste any more time," Santa exclaimed, clearly frustrated. Rudolph, however, stood his ground. "Santa, I can't leave. There's something important here." Miss Abigail watched in astonishment as the argument continued. She had heard of Santa's legendary deliveries on Christmas Eve, but she had never imagined that she would witness such a scene. But then, as Santa and Rudolph locked eyes, something extraordinary happened. The tension between them melted away, replaced by a spark of hope, unconditional love, and a profound connection. It was as if the magic of Christmas had woven a spell around them, bringing two kindred souls together. Santa's anger dissolved, and he extended a hand to Rudolph, who accepted it with a warm smile. "You were right, Rudolph. There's something special here." Miss Abigail, still standing on her rooftop, couldn't believe her eyes. Santa Claus and Rudolph, the red-nosed reindeer, had just resolved their argument with a heartfelt embrace. As the trio stood on that snowy rooftop, bathed in the soft glow of the moon and stars, Miss Abigail felt a warmth in her heart that she had never experienced before. She knew that this night was destined to be extraordinary. And so, with Santa, Rudolph, and Miss Abigail all gathered on that rooftop, surrounded by the magic of Christmas Eve, a love story began to unfold. In the land of fairy tales, where anything was possible, two souls found each other in the most unexpected of places. Eventually, Santa and Miss Abigail became inseparable. Their love grew stronger with each passing day, and they knew that they were meant to be together. The land of fairy tales celebrated their union with an immaculate wedding, and among the guests was none other than Frosty the Snowman, who had played a crucial role in bringing them together. The very next year, on Christmas Eve, Santa and his beloved Abigail were wed, marking the beginning of their happily ever after. As they rode off into the starry night in Santa's sleigh, their hearts filled with love and joy, they knew that their love story was one of the most enchanting tales in the land of fairy tales. And so, in the mystical land of fairy tales, where magic abounded, a new chapter in the story of Santa Claus and his wife, Abigail, had begun. Their love, born on a snowy rooftop on Christmas Eve, was a testament to the power of kindness, friendship, and the enchantment of the holiday season. Rudolph's act of gratitude had not only brought love into Santa's life, but had also created a heartwarming story that would be told for generations to come. As the years passed, the tale of Rudolph's matchmaking adventure became a cherished part of Christmas lore in the land of fairy tales. It served as a reminder that, on this most magical night of the year, anything was possible, and the power of love could light up even the darkest of nights. And so, in that land where fairy tales came to life, where the impossible became reality, and where love and magic reigned supreme, the story of Rudolph, Santa, and Miss Abigail continued to shine as brightly as Rudolph's radiant red nose. It was a story of love, laughter, and the enduring spirit of Christmas, a story that would warm hearts for all eternity. If you are enjoying the Key to Wisdom channel, please hit the subscribe button, follow, like, or send a friend request for future updates. Thanks, and happy holidays.